Hi guys, this is Jimmy from Case Group, and today we're going to take a quick look at one of the new materials in V-Ray 2.0. If we open the material editor and get a new material, you'll see that we have a new material called V-Ray Car Paint material. So I'm just going to create one instance of it, and in order to see its settings, I'm going to create a very simple scene. I'm just going to add a teapot into the scene, and I'm going to use the V-Ray Sun and Sky system to illuminate my scene. And I'm also going to render the scene through the V-Ray physical camera. Let me just apply the material to the teapot. And in order to see the different settings and how they affect the final image, I'm going to use the V-Ray RT because this is the best and most user-friendly way to do this. And as you know, V-Ray RT running both on CPUs and GPUs is available with V-Ray 2.0. So I'm going to click Active Shade and see the different settings. As you can see, we immediately rendered an image, and let's just pick a nice point of view and start playing with the controls. So if we take a look at the rendering here, you'll see that we have a very nice looking car paint render even with the basic settings. We have a base layer, we have also some flakes, and then we have a clear coat layer on top of it. So now using the V-Ray car paint material, you don't actually need to use the blend material in order to create your car paint shaders. And if we take a look at the settings of the car paint material, you'll see that we have three groups. We have the base layer parameters, the flake layers parameters, and the coat layers parameters. And basically, the base layer actually consists of a base diffuse and base reflection. So you can change the color, and this will change both the color of the diffuse and the reflection. And you can make it to whatever color you want. It's very easy to set up, so I'm going to bring it back to blue because maybe make it a little bit darker. And on top of that, you have two more controls. One controls the amount of the reflection, so if I make it 1, I'll see completely the reflective part of the base layer, and I can scroll it down and just see the diffuse part. And also I have this glossiness control, which allows me to control how glossy the reflections are going to be in my base layer. Let's give it some settings. And then on top of the base layer, we have the flake layer parameters. And the flake layer actually controls all those little flakes that you can see. So again, it's very easy to set up. We have the different color of the flakes that you can set up to whatever color you want. And you also can control how glossy those are, because you can see the flakes are reflective. And you can actually make them more or less glossy with this parameter. And you have also flake orientation, so you can rotate them and so that they reflect differently. We have a control called flake density, which allows you to actually control how many flakes there are. So if I increase it, as you can see, the density increases immediately. And you have this flake scale. The flake scale actually allows you to control the scale of the entire shader so that you can match it to your object size. And if I increase it, you can see the flakes become bigger and they get further apart, as if we're zooming on the texture of the flakes itself. So we're actually controlling the scale of the entire shader, and if I decrease it, I'm actually making the flakes smaller and more denser. I also can control the size of the flakes separately, so I can make them smaller or bigger with the flake size parameter. These flakes actually are a map, and this map is randomly generated, so you can use this flake seed to change and scramble those flakes a little bit and make the noise a little bit different if you want to. As I told you, V-Ray creates this map for the flakes, and it's a good idea to apply some filtering to the map in order to produce a better looking final image. And you're given two options here. You can use the simple filtering, which actually is faster and simpler. It will use less RAM, but it will produce it may produce not so good results. And the directional filtering will produce better results in the end, but it will take up more RAM. With the map size, you can control the resolution of the map that V-Ray creates, and again, this will affect the amount of RAM that this shader is using. And then you can specify how do you want this map mapped on your object. You can either use explicit UV channels, or you can use the triplanar from object XYZ mode. Okay, so this is the um, flake layer, and on top of that layer we have the coat layer parameters, which is actually, they're very straightforward. You can control the color of the coat layer, and you can control its glossiness, and you can also control its strength or blend amount. So if I increase the strength, I'm going to see more and more of the coat layer, and if I decrease it, I'm going to see less of the coat layer and more of the layers below it. So pretty straightforward here. And we have some controls. We can turn off the tracing of reflections or make the material double-sided, and we can control also the quality of the glossy reflections in the material. And as you can see, all the settings can be mapped so that you can create more interesting results in the end. Now let's take a look at the scene and see two real-world examples of using this material. Okay, I've opened my scene, and as you can see, I have two different cars, and each of them has a V-Ray car paint material applied to them. So let's start the active shade, and we'll examine the different setups. So let's first zoom to the material of the blue car so we can see it better. And I'll open the material editor and examine the car paint material that we're using for this car. So if we take a look at the settings of the material, you'll see that we have a base color set to something that's very dark blue, and we also have some reflection of 0.7, and we've made this reflection pretty glossy. The value for the glossiness has been set to 0.5. Now on top of this base material we have the flake material, the flake layer, and again we have very dark blue flakes, and those are pretty glossy, 0.7 for glossiness, and we've also made them very dense. And the thing that's we should notice here is this flake scale, which we have decreased quite a lot, so that we get this very fine flakes in the car paint. So we've basically made all the flakes very small using this small scale here. Other than that, on top of the flake material we have the coat layer, which is pretty straightforward. We have a single simple gray color for the reflection, and the strength has been set to 0.05. And we've also made the coat layer a little bit glossy, so a value of 0.95 has been used. Now let's take a look at the other car. And what you'll notice here is that we don't have that many flakes. In the beginning there will be some noise, but this is actually noise rather than flakes. The V-Ray RT will clear it pretty soon. And if we take a look at the material, you'll see that we have red for color, nothing special here. Again, a reflection of 0.7 and pretty glossy base reflections, so that's why we see the noise here. And you see that we have black color for flakes, and you also see that the flake density has been set to 0. So this means that we don't have any flakes, and usually red car paints don't have any flakes, so that's why we have used this setup. You can see right now the RT has managed to get rid of all the noise, and it's pretty clear here. So the only thing that we have on top of the base red color is the coat layer, which has again a gray color for the reflection color, a strength of 0.05, and we've made it a little bit glossy so that we get those nice highlights here. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to set up the V-Ray car paint material. You don't have to use the blend material, and even if you want to, you can actually use the blend material with the V-Ray car paint material as a base material, and then add more and more coat layers on top of it and create really interesting shaders. And as you can see, this material also renders pretty quickly, so it's very easy to set up and very easy to render. This concludes our short demonstration. I am Dimitar Kristev Jimmy, and I thank you for watching.